Hooray! It's Adventurers Wanted time again. Hi, everybody! We are your friendly local community managers of the Adventurers League, D&D's official play campaign. If you're not familiar with the Adventurers League, basically you can create a D&D 5e character and take them to any Adventurers League table around the country and the world. My name is Lisa Chen. You might know me from Hell's Bells every Sunday on this very channel. I also am a D&D writer, the community manager for the Dungeon Masters Guild, and I host a podcast called Behold Her, all about women and tabletop RPGs. And down here is my co-host, Alan. Alan, introduce yourself.
Okay. So I'm the other community manager for the Adventurers League. I've been around for a minute doing things and stuff, lots of stuff, sometimes some things. Some of our web presence and all that is now being split between us because Lisa's picked up a bunch of that, and it's been super helpful so that I can focus on getting some other things done. Like I manage our content catalog, I write the occasional bit of content. Some adventures have snuck out recently. Maybe you've seen them. A little thing called Everone. It's a thing, and it's got airship. But yeah, I do wordsy stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to chat about a few of those things soon. If this is your first time tuning into Adventurers Wanted, we're a monthly talk show that happens every fourth Friday on the D&D Twitch, and we share announcements, and we also chat with members of our community who have cool tips on how to be a better dungeon master and organizer. Later today, we will be talking to Joe Alfono, aka Zombie Joe, about Extra Life. But first, some announcements. We released some final documents of some rules that folks are really looking forward to, especially the Dungeon Master quests. Yes. I know, Alan, you are the keeper of those, so I'm hoping you can share some information.
Sure. So DM Quest, we all chipped in. There was a lot of feedback on a lot of topics. We really wanted to simplify that program, starting with this season. Previously, we had like 12 and sometimes 15 pages of content that you would have to sift through of just like quest descriptions and this thing, and it required a multi-page FAQ, and it just got to be this big, let's be honest, it was an unsustainable spaghetti kind of mess, really.
It was many documents.
Right, and it became a game all unto itself and kind of escaped what we wanted to accomplish with the Adventures League. So as a group at our summit this past summer, we decided to scale things in a little different manner and kind of reframe them. We wanted to open some additional access for our community-created content folks, bring in greater emphasis on current storyline without completely cutting off the previous stuff. So with a lot of back and forth, I think we got to a pretty happy agreement on a lot of this stuff. Arguably, rewards are actually kind of better now. Because there's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, what are some things that folks might be particularly interested in that are different from previous seasons?
Well, going forward with Season 8, mechanically speaking, I know something that DMs have asked for a while is the ability to trade their items as they acquire them. In past setups, if you earned an item as part of a DM quest, it was just yours and yours forever. You couldn't trade it. Quests that you complete starting with this version of the doc and going forward, once you earn it, it's yours. You do with it as you see fit. Unless something specifically says you can't trade it, then trade it off, do whatever. So that's been pretty well received so far. Other stuff that I think people are going to get a kick out of, some of the ways we're playing with the rewards. So when you run Waterdeep Dragon Heist, you choose your villain and your table goes through and they do some things that tie into there. Well, the reward, you get a couple of rewards. You get the quest for completing the run through the book. You get an additional reward based on the villain that you chose, and those villains can be a special pet that can be used as a familiar, because I'm a big fan of beholder related things.
Yes.
And beholders wouldn't make great familiars, not for AL, but gazers would, and I really like gazers. There's the assistance of the NPC cleric, so you can get augury or remove curse once per session for one of your characters, which augury is kind of an odd choice. It does require some DM intervention, but augury can be a ton of fun. It can help empower the DM to tell better, richer stories as well. And remove curse is just very utilitarian.
Yeah. Plus, flavor-wise, it's kind of nice to have like a tiefling cleric companion too.
Yes, yep. And I know in our internal version we had said tiefling on there. Some of our additional back and forth, we did open that up. So as much as I really wanted to say it's a tiefling cleric and that's what it is, DMs can work with their players that have earned this reward, and yeah, it becomes theirs to modify. But if people want to make it a tiefling cleric, I'd really appreciate
Yes,
that.
tiefling clerics.
uh, there's a bunch of really cool stuff in there, and I'm super happy. So yeah, download the packet. It's inside the core rules pack, the DM and player pack, available through DM's Guild. It's linked in our Facebook groups right in the pinned post. Everything's in there, and all of the quest descriptions, all the quest rewards, and the what is the DM quest program. It's 3 pages. 2 of those pages are your quests and rewards, and the rest is just informational. It's pretty easy to digest.
Awesome. I know we usually take question and answer stuff near the end, but there are a couple that are related to DM quests that have popped up, some of which are answered in the packet that Alan just mentioned. But to clarify for folks watching, someone asked, so I can trade items from past seasons?
So the way that's set up is when you complete a quest starting with season 8, uh, if it's on the season 8 quest sheet and you finish it, this iteration of it, then you can trade it. If you've got stuff from previous seasons, that all falls under previous quest guidance, and in the vast majority of those cases, those items were not traded.
Okay.
So we're not rewriting the early rules. We're expanding the program as we go forward.
Excellent. Another question someone had is for the new character rewards, where you can say you open up Oathbreaker for yourself. Can those be combined with other rewards you've saved, like being able to build a winged tiefling or an Aarakocra?
Well, take a look at how it's set up. If the request reward says start a new character, then you have to start a new character and then apply the reward, which means other start a new character rewards wouldn't really be appropriate to put on there because that's just not how it works. However, in the case of other rewards where it's like start a new character and you get all these things, if you unlock something like Oathbreaker and it simply says add Oathbreaker to your list of available character options, congratulations, add it. It doesn't matter if the character is brand new or level 18. It just becomes an available option for you. It's not a +1 thing. It's just, hey, you did cool stuff. Thank you. Go forth and be awesome.
Excellent. So moving on from DM quests, you've also recently completed the content catalog as well, which a lot of people were looking forward to. What are...
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was a lot. But also the content catalog has sort of changed for this season. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in its early iteration, when we first started talking about releasing a content catalog, it was because we had a whole bunch of stuff out there, and the rate at which we knew CCCs would be released, like we knew that our players and DMs wanted an easy way to see like what is approved for Adventurers League play. Because there's a lot of stuff, and now we've got several years of organized play history, and it's easy to kind of forget what might be out there. So it was originally put together just as a guide to things you could buy for play, if you wanted to make your own track or whatever. But as our program has evolved and as our needs have evolved, we've decided to wrap our seasonal guidance into the content catalog. So when a DM is running a season 2 game, maybe they're running Princes of the Apocalypse hardcover, or maybe the D&D Adventures League PDF adventures. If you have a question about a season 2 adventure, look in the season 2 section of the content catalog, and any rulings that we've issued will be located in there. It just makes it easy access. We know that not everybody wants to use Facebook, and we have in the past issued rulings through Facebook, and that, let's be honest, is not a great thing to search. It causes madness. Just
both short and long term.
Yeah, and I've tried some tech workarounds, some like APIs to scrape through and all that, and nerdy stuff aside, it wasn't scratching the itch. So we're going to put it in the content catalog. Where it goes from here, who knows? But we do want to continue to see the content catalog grow and get regular use. Dragon Heist, in particular, needed a little bit of guidance on some of those sections. Gold rewards can be a little problematic, and that's where we come up with like Volo's Guide to IOUs, so how we adapt organized play rules to the theme of the adventure, and we take a look at what our working parts are, the NPCs we have to play with, and the personalities and stuff. It's an ongoing living document, so periodically, I'm aiming for about once a month, I'm going to be doing the CCC review, where CCC authors can provide a copy of that adventure. I'll run it down and put a little blurb on our site. It has been a while since I've done that, mostly because we've been underwater with stuff, but I have a fairly large post coming with a whole bunch of things in it that can help kind of signal boost like what's Adventures League legal and what is cool and awesome out there. Some of those CCC folks have really done some cool things with adventure design and concepting, the themes that they play with, art. We have someone who's doing like Final Fantasy classic Super Nintendo and Nintendo-esque RPG maps. It's pretty slick, so you might be surprised what you see pop up in some of those posts.
Yeah, the content catalog is your super helpful helper document. We've been seeing a lot of questions as folks get started playing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the hardcover book. So if you have specific questions about certain things that happen very early on in the adventure, definitely check out the content catalog because your questions are probably answered there.
Yes.
Let's see. Next on our announcements, we wanted to chat a little bit about Extra Life, which is coming up soon. The Extra Life, like 24-hour marathon gaming events, are coming up soon in November. And up until then, a lot of us admins and Wizards of the Coast staff are raising money for Extra Life for our local children's hospitals on extralife.org. So a number of us have incentives that are actually AL legal, little thank you gifts for your generous donations. As I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing maybe a post on our website with links to everybody's would be a really helpful summary. So I'll probably get that up later tonight. But to chat about my page at least, I am allowing folks to donate quantities of 25, 50 or more, and you can adopt a Tressum familiar, which is a little winged cat. They'll all have different personalities and names and really, really minor features, mostly for fun and roleplay. And for a $25 donation, it is the random Tressum generator, so you'll get one assigned to you randomly. And for 50, I'll give you the list and you can pick one. Super excited about that. Alan, you have some really cool stuff on your page too.
Yes, I have a couple of things up there. In the vein of pets, because we all kind of latched into that.
We love pets.
we do, and you have adorable flying cats, and like there's Greg's menagerie of goats.
Yeah, if you like goats, check out Greg's page.
I think Travis is running a pet store out of his house now. I'm not sure. Digital pets. Let me make that very clear. Digital pets. For mine, I'm moving away from the Kaya storylines, right? Like the worm god and all that, because it's pretty well played out come end of year. But some people have asked me in the past, like, what do I have to do to get a worm familiar? Well, now's your chance. It's for the kids. The worms are gross and disgusting, but they just need your love. They can be better, I promise. So anyone who donates, like, I'm custom generating these worms, and much like what you've got, where they've got personalities and all that, I actually rigged up a randomizer to assign personality traits and descriptions and colors and like variations on sizes and stuff. So I'm running that through a few more test cases, and I should have a batch of those being sent out to people this weekend. I have some other stuff that's out there. My big one was at the $1,000 level. If someone wanted to donate that $1,000, they could co-write an adventure with me. No promises of it being AL legal, but I would be happy to split all the credits and everything. And I'm going to front art. Now, I did have somebody take me up on that, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what we put together. They had some pretty cool ideas already, so I'm looking around probably end of first quarter to get that out and published. We'll see where that goes. I've got a customized version of a magic item, a common magic item that grants inspiration. It's a modified Wand of Smiles, because the Wand of Smiles just makes me laugh every time I see it in Xanathar's Guide. It just makes people smile, like the way I see it, like the Joker for an hour a day.
Oh no, you just changed it a lot.
It's meant as a good thing, but I get it. I have a twisted sense of humor, so sorry. There, I can hear again.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of rewards that are up there, and I'm also running a second portion of it to directly impact my Extra Life charity game that I'm running for you and the rest of the admin team, and a very special guest whose name rhymes with Matthew Lillard. Running that game at Gamehole Con. That'll be a live stream on the Wizards Twitch. for Extra Life. But we will have plenty of in-person attendees, and I am expecting sheer and utter madness from the lot of you, because you're all crazy, and I love it.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so a lot of cool things happening that you can watch, a lot of fun Adventurers League pets and vanity items that you can pick up for your characters, but all of it goes to a really good cause, supporting all of our local children's hospitals. It really means a lot, so thank you everyone who has supported us so far.
Yes. It's
Moving
been
along.
awesome
Oh,
turnout.
yeah. Yeah. So moving along, we have a lot of new fun content happening in the Adventurers League as well, including the launch of our campaign set in Everone, which is under the umbrella of Adventurers League, but also its own separate world. Alan, you had a lot to do with the launch of the Everone campaign, so I'm going to let you take it away from here.
Sure. So the status of the Everone campaign, yes, it's under our umbrella. It is not an official campaign in all the ways that our Forgotten Realms storyline is an official AL campaign. We're being very experimental with Everone, so it's very much an under construction, in progress sort of setup. If you look at the content catalog, like we don't have a seasonal glyph for it. It actually has a little under construction sign because we want to try some things and see how it goes. One of the things that we're trying here is how we're kicking off the storyline. I put together a level 0 intro, and the purpose of this was to get people exposed to what makes Everone cool and different. So it's exposure to the dragon marked houses and airships and the different cultures. For example, goblins and goblinoids, where they're typically considered monsters in a lot of the major worlds. They're not monsters in Everone. They have the oldest standing empire in the known world. So they're recognized as being part of society. Maybe not always their favorite part of society, but they're out there. The level 0 stuff is intended so that when you play these characters, these are characters who are on the cusp of becoming heroes. And at the end of the adventure, they're actually retired and become NPCs for the authors and our storyline director, James Intercasso. For everyone else to use and incorporate into their own stories, or for DMs to be like, hey, Flash the Goblin, Flash was really cool when I got to play it, so I'm just going to insert a little reference to Flash in this encounter over here. It should give people plenty of creative fodder going forward.
Excellent. And then also the second adventure in that path, or I guess that was the prologue, so in episode 0. So
that was
yeah.
Yep. So you don't have to play the prologue, but it might help.
Yeah.
Now, Greg Marks wrote the first adventure in the core storyline for Everone. That hit DM's Guild today, and that is the very beginning of our weekly release schedule. So this is really fast-paced. It's very aggressive, but it sort of mimics what Everone's really good at, and that's serialized noir content. And one of the cool things about content being strictly serialized is you always know when the next adventure is coming. So for the next 12 adventures in the series, right? Mm-hmm. So for the next 11 Fridays, you have brand new Everone content that's going to be hitting the shop.
Yay!
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm super excited.
Meanwhile, in the Forgotten Realms, something we've chatted about a lot is the Red War. Yes. Which is an event that happened because of role-playing on our Facebook group, and then fan-made Facebook groups between the different factions. And a lot of community creators have created CCC adventures themed in Red War. And those have finally hit the guild.
Yep, they're starting to come out. There will be more as time goes on. The people who want to write content that's set inside the events of the Red War, using the epic adventure as a wrapper for those events, you can kind of zoom in on the battle and play through one specific element that appeals to you and your local group, right? If you're approved to write that CCC, go nuts with it. There's a lot of cool possibilities. But it allows people to experience the elements of that conflict that are essentially important to them. So as you play the epic, you may feel that there's not a whole lot of like faction focus and all that, and that's really not the focus of that epic at all. It's, as you said, it's Thay coming in as a response to what had happened. But if your event, if you know that like Harper themes are super important to us, as long as it gives everyone a chance to play equally, you can spotlight some of those Harper themes and maybe a Harper NPC or something. And maybe they're searching for something amidst the chaos of the war. Go nuts, tell your story within the wrapper of all this other craziness that's going on. And with these now hitting the DM's Guild, you don't miss the Red War story in an entire sense. You can play these as standard adventures with your home group or your retail store, or, whatever your play area happens to be. It's a really cool way to keep people involved in the larger events without requiring them to go and be at a convention or something where they might not normally go.
Yeah, so really exciting. I'm seeing in chat that there are more adventures that have premiered recently, so it'll be exciting to get those on the guild as well, so that everyone can experience this like shared storyline that we're all writing.
Yep, and in the content catalog, in the description field for any Red War adventure, it says a Red War adventure. So if you Control F and search for Red War, you'll find it pretty quick.
Cool. All right, so kind of shifting back to Extra Life, our guest today, who's waiting in the wings, is Joe Alfono. You might know him as Zombie Joe.
That's a name I recognize.
Yeah, and he has done a lot of charity events, including a 25-hour gaming marathon for Extra Life, I believe a few years now. So Joe, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. To start us off, how about you introduce yourselves to our viewers? Where in the Adventures League community are you, and what sort of things do you do?
Hello. Thanks for having me. So I'm located in Madison, Wisconsin. So I take care of organizing with a few other people here in the Madison area for, we have 2 venues currently, and we're opening up a 3rd venue. I shouldn't say they're opening it up. We're just going to be running there. A 3rd venue is opening up in November, and we'll be having 3 different venues running, 3 times a week. So it gets a little crazy here especially around November when you have Gamehole Con, because in addition to myself and Thomas Valley, we are the HQ desk for Gamehole Con, for Gary Con, and here locally, I am the HQ desk with some of my local guys here for Hero Camp, which is we call it the spring training camp for Gamehole Con. We're part of Gamehole Con, but all we are 16 tables of Adventures League that happens 6 months out from Gamehole Con, so about the halfway point. As well as Geek Con and Anime Con that is happening in September, and a brand new convention called ExpectoCon, which we had the first one this year, and we're having another one in, I believe it's July of next year. It's a brand new convention, but it's a pretty well received one. It is a interactive, immersive type convention where you go to a wizarding school. So,
oh my gosh, that sounds so cool.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, and we had a full 16 tables available. We did not fill them all because it was the first year, but we did run the Red War. Or no, sorry, we ran the Open there.
Cool.
And it got a lot. Well, the Open seemed like really the right kind of an event for that one, because it was very interactive and a lot of costuming, and so our DMs were all in costume, and so it was a good time. Cool. But yeah, so we run about 10 tables here locally on a weekly basis, though.
Wow. So as an organizer, you do a lot in terms of helping out at conventions and also running a weekly night. So how exactly did you get involved in Extra Life?
Well, Extra Life was post me becoming involved with Adventures League, because a few years ago, I noticed that Dungeons and Dragons had a team on the Extra Life page, and so my home group, we decided we were going to do this, and we decided to do it hardcore, 24 hours straight. None of this, we're going to clip off at 4-hour intervals. We were going for the full deal. And so it was just done in my home. We set up a webcam. We streamed it to my son's Twitch channel, which he never actually streams anything to his Twitch channel, so that was kind of fun. And then we just ran it. We had maybe 4 or 5 viewers, but we raised up a significant amount of money for 5 or 6 people playing D&D for 24 hours. And we didn't really make it 24 hours because one of my players fell asleep to the point where I could not wake him up, even though I was hitting him with my Dungeon Master's Guide.
Oh, no.
I'm smacking him in the leg, and he watched the video playback. He's like, "You should have hit me harder." I'm like, "We still wouldn't have been playing. I'd be taken to the hospital. I was not pulling back. No, you were out.
Adventures League does not endorse smacking people with Dungeon Master's Guides.
Well, clearly, but that actually was an Adventures League game. That was my homebrew game. It was a while before I convinced them to try out Adventures League, because I wanted to play an Aarakocra. So I'd been like, "Oh, I got to do that DM's quest." So now we have to do Adventures League, because that's the only way I'm getting through a full book. Yeah, exactly. So, but to getting involved in organizing, I've been working conventions for 25 years or so, and our local organizer before me, when we were back just one day a month at one venue, he had or his wife, I should say, had a child, and he decided he wanted to take paternity leave, and he asked for somebody to step up and kind of cover for him for 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I've done this stuff before. So that child is going to be entering kindergarten soon. 3 months became 4 years. But he kind of saw the direction it was going, and he saw it was a lot more time than he had on his hands. And so he's just like, I'm cool with just being a dungeon master from now on, if you're cool with keeping and doing it. And so Lance, our former local coordinator, and myself just kind of kept going with the venue, and then we added in another venue, and it just kind of built up from there.
Nice.
Cool. So from doing an Extra Life event just with your homebrew group and streaming it, what is this year's Extra Life event going to look like?
Well, so this year is going to be more like what we did last year. I had been kind of pitching this to Lance for a while, and he's like, you're never going to get 7 people that are going to sit down at a table for you for 24 hours. And so last year we did it the week after Gamehole Con, because Gamehole Con was on the first week in November. And so November 11th last year, we ran one at Pegasus Games on the west side of town, our original venue. And I had 40 people sign up. So
wow.
At which point I told Lance, that's more than 7 right there. So I had 5 tables. The DMs were me, my son Nick, Doc, one of our other organizers from Misty Mountain Games, Therese, and Caleb. And we each ran a table for 24 hours straight. Everybody made it to the end. Nobody had to get smacked with any books, so you'll feel comfortable about that. A local dentist came and donated pizza that night. We all had pizza. One of my players, her friends came and brought us insomnia cookies at about 2 a.m. That was awesome.
Oh, insomnia cookies. I have those out here.
Right. So, yeah, the next day I was sitting on my recliner with my dog, and my wife kept trying to talk to me, and I was, out of it, just dead in the world. So it's a lot of work, and but it's also a whole lot of fun. My group, we ran Tomb of Annihilation straight through, starting at point 1, chapter 1. Wow. And so we ran 24 hours worth of it. And then my table kept going because they wanted to complete the adventure together. And so it took us about 68 hours worth of running content to get to the end.
Wow!
But they beat the Atrophial, they beat Asarak, barely, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun. But so that's kind of what we're doing this year. This year we're going to be going to Misty Mountain Games though, because we want to try and stream a game, and quite honestly, Misty Mountain Games has got stronger Wi-Fi, so. So we need that if we're gonna be able to do that. Plus, they have more space. Yes. We ran Hero Camp there this past year, so we can actually set up 16 tables if we need to.
Well, are there any tips that you've picked up in running these marathons on a larger scale? Like, how are you keeping the dungeon masters awake and healthy and hydrated? Or is there anything you do to keep players perky? And I know that you touched on this a little bit. But what sort of content do the other tables schedule?
So I've got a tips and tricks that I sent out last year, and I'll send out this year, coming up in the next week or so when I lock in the tables. And it includes things about, tips and tricks for staying awake all night long. I'm an insomniac. I can stay up for 24 hours for no reason whatsoever. So it's kind of easy for me. But for, other people, they tend to hit the caffeine, drink coffee, have sugar, things like that. There's a big crash that gets involved with that. And what people don't seem to consider is water is one of the big things that will actually keep somebody awake. The more you keep yourself hydrated, the more efficiently your body produces oxygen or processes oxygen, which is the thing that actually will keep you awake. So I was telling them, intersperse your coffee or your soda with a bottle of water.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
If you're a DM, do Gatorade, because it's not only going to keep you hydrated, it's going to help keep your voice from going out, because you're going to be talking for 24 hours straight. Things like that. Don't eat a lot of food in one sitting, because that food coma is a thing. And it will kind of take you out. And then we were just telling the DMs, like, every 4 hours, take a break so that you can assign some XP, let people level up if they need to, and then give people a chance to stretch out, go walking around, go outside, get some fresh air, come back in. So just, little things like that, of tricks on how you can convince your body you're not actually that tired.
Yep.
I worked graveyard shift for a long time, so I kind of got used to, giving those out periodically through the night.
Wow.
So, and for our non-insane players that do not want to do 24 hours, we actually run content through the main portion of the day, which are the 4-hour modules and things like that. And so you can come in, sit down, drop like $5 to, lock your seat in at that table to the donation of whatever the charity is. In this case, Extra Life. This year we're going to be splitting charities. Extra Life is going to be all the stuff that we raise ahead of time. And then at the tables, we have partnered up with Jasper's Game Day in Michigan. I'm sure Alan is familiar with them, because we decided to add a teen suicide prevention line as one of our charities. It's something it's hit everybody, and it's kind of hits a lot of the things that we've done with 25th hour events, which is kind of how we've branded all of our charity events. And so we decided that rather than add another one into the mix, we were just going to take this really big one, because last year we raised almost just over $11,000 with corporate matching. And we're going to say, okay, we can split off that one and do 2 charities with that event. And so that's what we're doing this year. That's
awesome. Jasper's Game Day is just a wonderful cause as well.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and Fenway actually is Fenway and Aaron are going to be there for the event. She is bringing the Red War CCC that she wrote with, I believe, Ben Heisler, and they're gonna help us out with running that. And her connection to the American Association of Suicidology got us a local vetted charity here in town in Madison that can be the source of where our donations go to this year.
That's awesome.
For those who are watching who do not know, Fenway Jones is a teen DM, super involved in the Adventurers League, and she started Jasper's Game Day due to losing a few friends of hers, but turned it into this wonderful organization and event that raises awareness and funds for prevention of teen suicide. So that's awesome that your marathon is going to be supporting that as well.
Yep.
So how exactly do you harness the event to raise donations? I know you mentioned for some games there are entry fees, for example.
The general one that I do is, if we're doing like the last one we did in September, is we did one for Underdog Pet Rescue here in Madison, because I like dogs. So we did it for them, and we ran the Mulmaster Undone so that we could destroy Mulmaster more than once. And it was $20. You sat down and you got to play. We would run an event in the morning, have a 2-hour break when people could go get dinner, and I would run Fai-Chen. And then when they got back, we would start the Epic. And so for the Epic, we'd run the Epic, but then we would also do things like we would have reroll tickets that go to the charity. Are you rolling particularly bad? Well, we got tickets, and there were a couple times when I came around as the traveling environmental effect, where they like, do you have tickets with you? I'm like, no, but I can. And so I'd run back, go grab the tickets, and come back as well, because we did assault them with a few environmental effects throughout the day. And that's the main way with how we do it. For this event, for Extra Life, I not only set up an account for myself, I tell the DMs, set up an account and then say, if you donate $50, you're going to allow me to do a reroll. If you want to add a monster into an encounter, donate this much. Basically, all those little things that allow us to, use our DM variants to kind of make it a little harder, a little easier, or whatever for our players. For the players, I give them the option to raise money. And last time, one guy who raised the most money out of all of us. He did it by, they could choose his class, his name, his race. And so he wound up being a life cleric, because his wife donated a lot of money to make him play a life cleric, just as a way of, kind of turning the screws to him. I forget what race he was, but his name was and I'm like, oh man, somebody should have talked to your DM before they did that one. That's bad. So we'll do things like that. And this year, Greg Marks has offered to send me some of the charity certs that we do, or that you guys do, that to add to that. So if you donate this amount of money, here's this really cool cert that you might need later on in the night, because stuff gets harder as you go further, because we are going to be doing the Dungeon of the Mad Mage this time.
Oh, so much fun.
Wizards is sending us out copies early for our DMs so that they can prep it in time, because it was going to be releasing the weekend of Gamehole Con, but now it's releasing the weekend before, so it literally releases the day before, but that is not enough time to prep for 24 hours. So we're going to get some copy early so that our DMs can prep it up and we can run it for 24 hours straight.
Awesome.
Which is not even going to really scratch the surface of Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but
there's so much content there.
Oh yes,
so much.
Yeah. There's so much, and it gets harder the deeper into it you get. It's crazy. So yeah.
I guess we have the DM for that table with in it, and he said that was how the table stayed awake, saying that name.
Everybody had their tricks.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely. But another thing of what I'm doing, as Greg Marks, while he is a two-edged sword. He's giving us certs to give to the players, but he is also apparently gunning for me and bypassed me by offering all of those wonderful goats. And I had taunted him with how easy it was to bypass me when you could give stuff away where I can't give stuff away. Well, the joke is on him, because I actually can give stuff away. So
what do you give away?
The people that have come to Hero Camp are familiar with this little fun thing here. This is the We Are Grung patch from Hero Camp 2018.
Yep.
If you had attended GaryCon, you will know what We Are Grung is, because you saw the 150 Adventures League players having a dance-off in the middle of GaryCon. It was a little insane. It was a little crazy, and it made a lot of noise, and apparently a lot of people heard about it. So this patch was a limited edition thing. I did it just for Hero Camp. I'm ordering more of these, but they are going to be changed out to be Extra Life 2018. And also, you'll see the We Are Grung is up here in yellow, and it's very difficult to read. So my wife made that black this time so that we can actually see it. So through this weekend, because I'm placing the order on Monday, if people go to my Extra Life page, donate $35, because that is a number that my players are not donating to reserve their seats, so I can easily tell what the difference is, and then put in the comments, We Are Grung, I will send them a We Are Grung Extra Life patch.
Nice.
And the reason I'm doing $35 for the weekend is because I can set those up as pre-orders, and I can increase my order on Monday before I actually place the order. Ooh. After that, then myself, possibly some of my Dungeon Masters will have some. Maybe the attendees that are doing 25 hours of straight gaming, as it is leap year, or not leap year, daylight savings.
Yep.
We'll also get patches, but and for my DMs or myself, if you're at my table, if you've got this patch emblazoned on whatever jacket, sash, or whatever else you're wearing, that is just default inspiration if I can see it at the table. So, and some of my DMs do it. I know my son has done it before. He's like, "Oh, you got the Grung patch? Yeah, inspiration." So, it's a good way to kind of keep people involved, because the Grung event was really fun. Thomas Valley had a really crazy idea, and a bunch of us wrote some insane episodes to go along with it. So,
so I've heard.
Oh yes.
I want a Grung patch. I love Grung.
Well, you know what? Because you are going to be at Gamehole Con, I will definitely order one for each of you guys as well, and so you will get a Extra Life Grung patch at Gamehole Con.
Yeah, I'm going to go on your page and donate $35 too right after this. Super good cause. So you can easily find Zombie Joe's page by going to the Extra Life Dungeons and Dragons team and clicking on roster, and you will see him in the lineup there. Apparently, right underneath Greg Marks.
I'm gunning for him.
But let's get Zombie Joe past Greg Marks. I'm sorry, Greg, but it's for the kids.
It's for the kids. It's all good.
Now, for the record, he is also the first person that killed my very first Adventures League character. So I think it is more than appropriate that I take him out for at least a short period of time, if not for the end result. So it's only fair.
All right.
I can get behind that.
I've asked chat in case they have any questions for you about Extra Life or charity event related things.
Okay.
But while we wait to see what chat says, you mentioned you do a number of other charitable events as 25-hour events? Is that
25th hour events?
25th hour events.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what else you do?
So the idea is that there's a lot of things that a friend of mine had said, unfortunately, with the inspiration for adding Jasper's Game Day to this, was that, and it's something I've heard from a number of people that have faced PTSD and whatnot, is that one bad day. They always talk about that one bad day that makes the difference for them. And so the idea was it's not that one bad day, but it's what happens after that day that makes the difference. So that 25th hour, what do you do in that 25th hour? And so it was a play on that, as well as the fact that this year it was going to be 25 hours instead of 24 hours. And we kind of branded all of them together. And so we took these bad days that we've had and used them as our focus for coming up with new charities. I had a dog that I'd had for 15 years that was my son's childhood dog, had passed away. So I had done some donations to a pound here in town, a rescue, wound up rescuing another dog, and I became her service animal because she was a special needs dog. So she is agoraphobic, which is really odd for an animal, for a dog especially. But so then we decided that this local rescue in town, Underdog Pet Rescue, did a lot of senior dogs that had medical conditions, dogs that were rescued from China, Puerto Rico, and so forth. And so we decided we were going to partner up with them. And so we would run an event, donate towards them. Stackup.org, which we got involved with because of Critical Role, because a lot of our AL players are Critical Role fans. And we saw that they were doing it, and it matched up very specifically to one of my players who I met through Encounters, the 4th edition precursor to AL. And he was a vet, and he had suffered from PTSD and unfortunately had committed suicide. So I was looking at how can I help based on that. And I couldn't find anything local, but I found this group, stackup.org, and they would donate gaming rigs, tabletop trips and whatnot to disabled vets. And I'm like, that's perfect. And so we paired up with them. And so we're running about 5 to 6 a year, where we'll run a retired epic or a big epic day event, charge $20 entry fee. We pay for our DM's food. We get good games in, and everything that's left over goes to the charity. So for the last one that we ran for Underdog, we raised $1,600 for them.
Wow.
The one before that was about $1,050 for Stack Up. And so we kind of, our local community has kind of keyed into this. It's a great way for us to play some really cool stuff we can't normally play and do some good in our community. And so it's about Lance, Doc, and myself, organizing up these events and making them happen. But we couldn't do it without the community, our 70, 80, 90 players kind of keying in and joining in and getting behind it. In fact, we had one, he's a guy I used to game with back in middle school. He comes up from Illinois with his now 2 of his sons to play in these events because it's nearby, and he's a Madison native. So
yeah, it sounds like you guys are choosing causes that are personal and really resonate with you. And I think that probably resonates with the community as well. So that's great. We do have a couple questions coming in from chat that maybe you can help answer. One person asks, do you think there is a minimum number of tables to make a charity game day viable?
It all depends on what you would consider viable. In my opinion, if you run only 4 tables and you guys run it and raise $300, $300 is a lot of money to a local dog rescue or to a local, helpline. So I don't think that I don't think there's really any group that is too small. It's just a question of how big do you want to get and how big do you think you can maintain. It's kind of the reason why we keep it at every couple months. We don't try and pack them too close together.
Yeah. Well, you want them to be special too, not
right.
just personally important, but make it an event for the players.
Exactly.
Let's see. The other question here is a little broad. It says, any advice for someone who would like to organize an AL game day / convention? So maybe like in all of your experience doing all of this organizing, what would be like your top tip for someone just getting into it?
Find a venue and network with that venue. It takes a lot of work to make this happen. I spend a lot of time outside of my day job, outside of everything else that I'm doing, just contacting DMs, coordinating with the other organizers, coordinating with the venue to make sure that all this happens and that everybody's kind of happy with the outcome that we're getting. To do a convention type thing, that is an entirely different bag of worms, and it's a deep one. So the only reason that Hero Camp really is as easy as it is because we do it at a local store. We have enough space. I mean, like I said, we can fit 16 tables in there, and we had the backing of Gamehole Con, which is one of the most supremely run conventions I've ever seen. Find good people is the real key there, and have a lot of good time management skills and know when to delegate. A lot of people will be too keyed in on micromanaging everything about that convention. Just know that you've got people that you can trust that have the same vision as you to make that happen. Like Doc, my other Jason Salby, my other organizer at Misty Mountain, is really good at adminning the epics. So I let him go with that because I know he can do it, and I know he'll do a much better job than even I can do with it. So why not make him do that? And then I can do the NPCs and sell the reroll tickets and take care of everything else that's outside of that HQ desk. Mm-hmm. So it always helps to have the right people into the right place.
That's really great advice. All right, we've got a number of other questions, but I think those are for Alan and me. So, Frank, Joe, thank you so much for joining us for Adventurers Wanted and telling us all about your extra life. Everybody, go donate $35 to Zombie Joe's page and get yourself a We Are Grung patch and help some kids at his local hospital.
The best way to find that is if you go to my Twitter account. I have made it the link in my bio. So that is twitter.com/zombie_Joe.
Thanks so much, Joe.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. We've still got some more announcements, but I see that there are a number of questions. So I'm going to go through and maybe we'll try and answer 3, and then we'll do our announcements. And if we happen to have more time, we'll answer some more. But all right. Alan, I don't know if maybe you know this one, but someone asked, is the CCC submission process changing? I thought I remember seeing something was changing.
So the thing that's changed for that is just how we've defined CCC. Now, previously it was convention content, but we're actually opening that a bit. We're going to be talking more about it as we get past all of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist stuff. A little bit closer to end of year, I think, is when the rest of the team is really looking at driving it. But the short version is we are rebranding as community-created content because there's some really cool community stuff coming up on the horizon. And I'm super excited. Like, conventions are great, but like Joe said, sometimes you get really cool events at your local stores and stuff too. And we will be defining just what community created content means. So stay tuned. Really, really cool stuff coming there.
Awesome. Let's see. So a DM Rewards Everone question. The Everone Dungeon Master's Guide document doesn't have the section about DMs getting rewards, ACP and TCP. At the same rate as players. Was this omission an accident? Just wanted to make sure whether it was intentional or not. Now, I know we've talked about this a little behind the scenes.
Correct. Yeah, it was not an intentional thing. I believe the adventures should all have a little DM rewards thing at the end of the adventure. But we will be working with our team to get things updated appropriately and try and figure out what happened and where. Yeah. But yeah, DMs, there's no reason to expect that a DM wouldn't get their standard expectation.
Yeah, so we're working on getting that updated in the best place so everybody knows.
Yes.
Let's see. A Dungeon Master's Quest question about Martyr for the Cause. And they're wondering, is it just for a sole organizer? What about conventions that are put on by more than one person? How might they use the quest?
That's something that we've kind of gone back and forth about on that topic in our own channels. And I don't think that Soul was the intended way to get that out there. but as far as like strict definition moving forward and how strict we need to define that, we're going to have to chat about it a little bit more and see if we can put together some clearer words in that particular area.
All right, cool. So yeah, good question. Stay tuned as we work out details on that. So taking a break from the Q&A, I wanted to shout out some awesome events and conventions coming up. In Atlanta, Georgia, happening October 5th through the 7th is Weekend in Waterdeep. If you want to play Waterdeep Dragon Heist all in one weekend, look up facebook.com/Weekend in Waterdeep, and they have information there. Happening that same weekend, October 6th through the 7th in Montreal, Quebec, is MythCon. That's mythcon.ca. And they are premiering DDAL 08-04 through 06, so that new trilogy will be premiering there, so check them out. In New Jersey, Atlantic City, there is a new con happening October 12th through the 14th called High Level Games Con. They're partnering with Contessa to make sure it's an inclusive, welcoming environment for everybody, so that is awesome. Check them out. In Toronto, Canada, October 19th through the 21st, premiering that 04 to 06 adventure is KimiCon, and you can check them out at KIMIKON.ca if you're interested in attending that convention. And then premiering the trilogy after that, so adventures 7 through 9, is Carnage Con, which happens in Killington, Vermont. That is November 2nd through 4th. And it's a really fun con.
The fact that it's named Carnage Con and it's in Killington, Vermont.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, that is amusing. Their venue there is really awesome. I went last year.
I've heard great things.
Yeah, so that is just a few of the upcoming events. I did pick out these events because on our con map, which you can find at dndadventurersleague.org, most of their descriptions called out that they are an inclusive environment, that they're trying to create like a diverse gaming community, and that was really important to them. So we love to see that. So that's why these folks were called out. But check out the con map because there are conventions happening all over the country, also in Canada, Italy, Singapore, the Philippines, Colombia, and Poland. They all have events on the map right now, so check that out.
Italy and the Philippines have just exploded this year.
Yeah, it's so cool seeing the Adventurers League community grow in like little pockets around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of events, there will be more details on this upcoming on Monday, but the Adventurers League will be celebrating Liar's Night, a sort of Halloween-y type event in the Forgotten Realms. We have a few fun rewards that people can earn, and some fun wandering monsters that you can add into your adventures. We're finishing that up this weekend, so I don't want to say too much in case a few little things change, but look out Monday, October 1st for details on that. That will be happening all month. Really excited about that.
Yes. Last year's holiday event was amazing for everybody, and it was a learning experience for us too, but everyone had a really good time with it, and I'm really excited to see like how Liar's Night goes and what we can do with this in the future.
Midwinter was so fun. I'm so excited to do more holidays. I love special events.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think now is also a good time for those who are doing Dungeon Master's Quest. There's one called Gathering Information, and that's if you watch Adventurers Wanted, listen to the interview, get some cool tips on being a better Dungeon Master or organizer, you can unlock an item for any of your characters by watching it on Twitch, or even if you're watching this on YouTube next week. So the item that we're unlocking today is a common staff from Xanathar's. This guy. And it is the Staff of Bird Calls. This wooden staff is decorated with bird carvings. It has 10 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expend 1 charge from the staff and cause it to create one of the following sounds out of a range of 60 feet. A finch's chirp, a raven's caw, a duck's quack, a chicken's cluck, a goose's honk. This is a really long list. There are a lot of bird sounds that it could be.
It's a lot of birds and a lot of noises. I love it.
Yeah. So if you would like to unlock, that is 2 treasure checkpoints of tier 1, or you could use any tier higher treasure checkpoints. So that is a fun, flavorful item that you get to unlock just from watching the show. So that's super fun. Let's see. We still have 5 minutes, so we can answer some more questions. Let's see.
5 minutes?
Would you consider a Facebook community for CCC authors? It would be great help for up-and-coming authors.
Yeah, actually, it looks like another community member already jumped in.
Oh, they did? Okay, good.
Yep.
What about for folks who are watching?
Yeah, it's an unofficial channel, meaning that we don't directly manage the communication that goes on in there. We strongly encourage people to play nice with each other, but we only maintain our official presence in the 2 main Facebook groups. We're just giving some space for people to kind of congregate for the rest of it.
Yeah, and let's see. Hold on, I don't have the chat open. Do we have the name of what that Facebook group is so folks can look it up? It's called, like, I think the Unofficial CCC Creators Circle?
Something like that. Give me a second. I can actually pull it up.
Okay. And if you look up and join that Facebook group, I believe that, I think maybe Garrett Colin posted something about whether people were in the Slack group as well. Slack is sort of like a way to communicate and collaborate on projects. And if you are lucky enough to be able to write for the Adventurers League officially, that is also what we use to organize our writers. So definitely get familiar with that platform. Oh, thank you. It is the Unofficial ALCCC Designers Den.
Yes.
So look that up.
Yep.
All right. What other questions do we have? Will there be any special events at Gamehole Con that will be raising money for Extra Life as well? Oh, they have so many things.
Yeah, if you look on the Gamehole Con website, they have a whole lot of streaming stuff already set up, and that's where the majority of the Extra Life fundraising is going to be. Gamehole Con always does additional fundraising, typically through like the sale of their stuffed animals. And stuffed animals are pretty adorable. The owl bear is still my personal favorite. But they've done the Mimic. This year's the Atyug.
I'm really excited. It's so cute.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like we have our Adventurers League admin game where we've got Matthew Lillard joining us. We're going to be streaming that. That's on Saturday afternoon. We're actually going to be playing a level that I designed for Dungeon the Mad Mage, and it is totally off the walls crazy. So I'm expecting big things from you guys. I mean, no pressure.
Oh, no. Let's see. In Everone, do spell slots work the same as they do in the Forgotten Realms? The Wayfinder's Guide states that magic is much more limited.
The core rules of the game are not changing.
Yeah.
So magic is treated and accepted a little bit differently just from a cultural viewpoint in Everone, but the core mechanics are not changing.
Okay. Let's see. We already answered that question. Oh, someone asked about shirts for Extra Life. That's more of a D&D thing. I imagine that they're doing the Extra Life shirts again, but that's not something I personally can confirm. I know Emmy was tossing around some ideas. I hope they do. They're always really cute, and I know they're really successful.
Yes, I hope to see it. We'll see when the show starts.
Yeah. Let's see, and we maybe have time for one more question. That one was already answered. Once a character has a pistol, thank you, Uncle Fai Chen. Oh, my uncle. Is it possible to get +X pistols through the Evergreen item list and +X ammunition?
It is not.
Sorry.
So pistols are very, very strange and esoteric, and they're cool, nifty things throughout the realms. They are not normally available. So if you unlock a pistol, you unlock the mundane pistol. If you unlock a +1 pistol, you've unlocked the +1 pistol. You can purchase exactly what you've gained access to.
Okay. All right, so our next episode of Adventurers Wanted should be happening on a different day because TwitchCon is happening in late October. So we've shifted to Friday, November 2nd at 12 p.m. Pacific time, which should be right after Spoilers and Swag, if that's happening as usual. So we will see you then. But in the meantime, everyone, thank you so much for watching, for being part of the Adventurers League community, and happy adventuring. Bye, everyone.